Hi, and welcome to the Full Weight of Joy podcast, the podcast for women who are done stressing about the weight of the world, of expectations and settling for status quo, and ready to step into the full weight of joy. Joy in the journey, whether up or down, joy through the life's challenges, and joy in loving your life right where you are, even though sometimes we feel like chucking it all and moving to Bali. It's for women who are ready to step into who God called them to be. He chose you to be in this world. He created you for a specific purpose. God called us to be the light on a hill, and by embracing who you are and whose you are, you can stand on that hill and shine. The best part, when you're standing next to another woman who's also on the journey, the world gets brighter. My name is Tami. I am your host and a master certified life coach and a trained therapist. For over a decade, I've been helping women do just that. Step into who they're called to be and shine. Are you ready, friend, to start your journey? Let's do this. Hey, welcome back to the podcast. I am so excited. My brain is kind of mush right now. I just finished and I'm about to turn in the chapter for this collaborative book that I am writing, this collaborative book that I'm a part of. And it's something that I have been working on for a couple of months, just the idea of it. And it's with a group of us. So we've had writing calls so that way we can kind of write it in the same style, but still keep our unique personalities. And it talks about the story. And it was a lot harder than I anticipated to tell my story, my past, present, and future story in 3,500 words. And so I just finished it. I'm excited, and I can't wait because now it's the editing and the process until, well, it'll be published and released in October. So stay tuned. I'll tell you more about it as I can share that information. But I was just thinking about how many things I've accomplished and how many things that I want to accomplish. And in my life, I've always been pretty ambitious. I've always been a go-getter. I've always, had 3 or 4 things going on at a time. And I've always also, I've been really hard on myself. And I know that many of you are as well. And I really wanted to talk to you about some of the shifts that I've made over the last couple of years, really, since I understood our brains, since I've understood mental health, and since I've started coaching, even more so than when I was in therapy. I started understanding how much our words have power and how much we can affect them. And I also realized that 80% of our goal is really who we're being to get it, not necessarily what we're doing. And so I just wanted to talk to you about how you don't have to be hard on yourself in order to be ambitious, in order to be successful, in order to get these epic, audacious goals, these big, hairy goals, or whatever you want to call them, these giant goals that you have, these God-sized goals. You don't have to be hard on yourself to get them. And in fact, the harder you are on yourself, the less likely you are to achieve them. And being hard on yourself is just your brain's way of keeping you safe. It's your brain's way of slowing you down. And instead, when you fill yourself with some unconditional empathy, your goals are actually easier to achieve. You don't have to hustle. You don't have to have this mentality that it's do or die, or that I've got to go all in right now. A lot of times we feel this time crunch, that we put on ourselves. And I say this knowing that I spent months preparing to write this chapter. And I started getting really down on myself and realizing that, I would try to write it and I couldn't. And it's just a matter of getting the right mindset, preparing the experience to write, and then giving myself that permission and freedom and the space. So when I started doing that, also the looming deadline, but the space is really what I needed. I needed to leave my house. I needed to go and write in a coffee shop. I needed to go write outside. I needed to go write and dream in a place other than my, where I was. And so this is part of the experience, is realizing that I was being hard on myself and unnecessarily. And so having this unconditional empathy will help you to achieve those goals that you want. Let's face it, we all make avoidable mistakes. We all do. And I said that right. avoidable. We all make this mistakes that if we would have known, if we would have done something different, we could have avoided the mistake altogether. Or if I would have started going to the coffee shop earlier, I would have written the book or finished it earlier. The thing is, I didn't. And so I can either be hard on myself and I can be down and I can berate myself, or I can give myself that unconditional empathy and compassion and say, okay, what are my options now? How can I do this? What's really worth it? And so I just wanted to share 5 ways that you can be ambitious and you can have these big goals and you can discover your purpose without being hard on yourself. And just this is the way also that God talks about how his burden is light. So being hard on yourself isn't helpful, isn't kind, isn't what the intention is. Is it even what you want? I enjoy the process of getting my goals when I'm not hard on myself. So what are the 5 things that we can do? And this is going to be a shorter episode because I really want you to think about these and something that you want. I want you to consider adding these 5 things to the characteristics, to these 5 things you can do. And the first one is set gentle, realistic goals. So we all want these big, audacious goals. Well, then break them down into a gentle, realistic, like step-by-step goals, maybe milestones, call them milestones, but break them down. Take that big mountain of a goal and break it down, because you don't eat an elephant, in one sitting. It's one bite at a time. And so when you separate your goals and you break them down into milestones, they're more manageable. Your brain can see how you can accomplish it. And then just make sure they align with your values and your passions. And this reduces the pressure to achieve. It reduces the pressure to achieve everything at once. It allows you to celebrate small wins. It helps you foster a sense of progress and accomplishment without feeling overwhelmed. The next is practice self-compassion, unconditional empathy. When you treat yourself with kindness and understanding, especially when things don't go as planned, or you get stuck, or you hit a snag, or you're not as far along as you had hoped, recognize that setbacks are a natural part of the journey. It's just life. The goals, if I don't know of anyone who has set out to achieve a big God-sized goal and never had a setback. So when you practice self-compassion, it reduces self-criticism and helps you maintain a positive mindset, a growth mindset. And it's crucial for long-term motivation and resilience and grit, like we talked about last podcast. Like, this grit is so important. So practice self-compassion and go for it. The next is align your ambitions with your core values. It's so, so, so important that you take time to discover what your core values. Really knowing your top 10 or top 15 is important, but understanding the top 5 and why they're your top 5 is crucial. Because if you have a goal that the outcome isn't going to align with your core value, there's going to be turmoil. There's going to be something inside of you that stops you from going forward with it. So pursuing goals that resonate with your core value brings a deeper sense of fulfillment and purpose, and it makes the journey more meaningful. It gives you that why behind the why, and it's less stressful. So the next one, number 4, is prioritize self-care and well-being. Give yourself spaces to rest. Give yourself space to reflect. Give yourself space to celebrate those wins, because if you don't celebrate the wins, it's just going to be, you're just checking boxes. You're just going to go one thing after another. And then it's just that cycle of, the cycle of doing instead of who you're being. Sit with who you're being and what the meaning of the end goal looks like anyway. Like, why is this goal so important? Is it just to achieve it, or is there another reason behind it? So when you take time to incorporate self-care practices, such as exercise, meditation, hobbies, and rest, then you're going to help your mental health. You're going to help your energy. You're going to stay motivated. You'll get clarity as you go, because there's a lot of course corrections that happen when you're on your goal, when you are on the path to your goal. And so give yourself that time. And one of the things to remember is rest is not in opposition to productivity. Rest is actually a partner with it. And so in a couple of my podcasts, I don't remember which ones, but I talk about how the science of rest and productivity and rest and work, how they're partners. And when you work with your mind, you should rest with your hands. So if you are a writer or artist and you're working and your work you're doing, the goal you are seeking is used with your mind. It takes a lot of mental energy. When you're resting, do something physical, wash dishes, go on a walk, build something, like play with Legos, play with Play-Doh, play with, blocks, something. Use your hands as a way to rest. And the opposite's true is if you work with your hands. So if you are a builder or if you are creating something physical or, like if you're gardening or something, then rest with your mind, read a book, do something creative, work your mind out. And that builds that cycle of rest and work in harmony. And so prioritize self-care and well-being really means understanding what does work look like and what does rest look like for you. The next is so important because when you are going for a goal, it's really important that we have the support and the community behind us, that we have someone who knows the goal that we're going for, can encourage us, but also make sure that we're incorporating these 5 things. I mean, like, hey, you haven't rested well. I know that this deadline is looming, but if you don't rest, you're not going to be at your best. Boy, that kind of rhymes. But we need to make sure that we support ourselves. We surround ourselves with the support of individuals who encourage and inspire you. Engage in a community or network that share your interests and values. One of the things that I like is I'm part of a mastermind, and this group of women are all faith-based Christian business owners. And we all have our own, like it's different. Our businesses are different. And yet a lot of our building business concepts are helpful. Like we support each other. And it's so nice because when I am going for a goal, they're there to support me. They ask me questions. They ask me how I've broken it down. How does it align with my values? How am I taking care of myself? How am I aligning it with, what I want? And how am I having self-compassion? And are they realistic goals? How have I broken it down? And so by having a support in a community that does this, that I get encouraged, I get propelled. When I want to stop, they tell me to keep going. They help me point out my wins and the things that are going right. They also kind of give they help me when I start to see some rumble strips, how to get back on the right path. And so with these 5 things, going after your goal, discovering your purpose, living your calling, creating this life that you really want, it doesn't have to be all hard work and you don't have to be hard on yourself. It gets to be life-giving. It gets to be aligned with who you are. It gets to be fun. It gets to be exciting if you allow it to be. And so when you're thinking of this next goal that you're going for, whether it's to try a new hobby or whether it's to clean out closets or it's to start a business or to step into and really discover who God created you to be and then take the actions to live it. If it's starting a ministry, starting a business, like whatever your goal is, if it's to build a deeper relationship with your spouse or your child or children, get into a group. And I have a great group for you. We are the divine. Okay, sorry. My mind is mush today. Did I tell you that I finished writing? And today I wrote the emotional part of the book. And so anyway, I will put in the show notes because right now, for the life of me, I cannot think of the name of this Facebook group, like Divine Destiny, I think is what it's called. But it's really, it's about supporting each other in our goals. And what I want you to do is not only get into this group, but I want you to book a call with me. What if in 20 minutes, you can get clarity on your next steps? How much would that be worth to you? I know that when I have someone who listens to me talk and helps me by asking questions about what I really want, and even in like a short amount of time, it's typically makes things go a whole lot faster. So this is what I want to give. This is my gift to you is in 20 minutes, let's figure out what your next step is. Let's get some purpose clarity. Let's get some ideas on what your next step and what your goals could look like and what it could mean for your family when you achieve them. So if you do that, book a call. Like let's get on the calendar and let's talk and let me get to know you and just allow me to walk this journey with you. So with that, friend, book a call, and I hope you have a fantastic, fantastic day, whatever day it is that you're listening to this. Know that your dreams are worth pursuing. Your God-sized purpose and calling is worth pursuing. You don't have to be hard on yourself. It's the right time now. If you're feeling this in your gut, it means now's the time. Don't be hard on yourself because you felt it, 3 years ago. But if you don't take a stand and you don't make a decision now, you don't take action today, how much longer is it going to be? And how much more guilt and shame are you going to feel unnecessarily about and this nag to do and to live more and to have more joy and fulfillment and impact in your life, to create a legacy that lives beyond you and can impact the community and your family in a deep way? How much longer do you want to wait for that? Do you will be in the same spot you are in a year from now, in 5 years from now, in 10 years from now? Or do you want to get uncomfortable today and say, okay, just show me what the next step could be? And that's what my gift is for you, friends. So just stop saying no to yourself and say yes this one time. It is a gift. It's free. And I guarantee that you will walk away knowing your next step. All right, with that, friend, choose joy until joy chooses you, and I will see you soon. Bye.